Welcome to the Bee's Tales. I am Bina Maria Matthews and I am here to talk about child body safety. This session is not for children, it is for parents. I am a parent and I talk from the perspective of parents. How many of us have asked a child to go and give a kiss to that visitor or that relative even when the child says no and tries to squirm away? How many of us have willingly given our child to another person even when the child says no, I don't want to go to him or to her? How many of us have threatened our children with dire consequences when they say that no, I don't want to go to daycare, and then they cry uncontrollably? Now, those people need not be abusers. They may be people who love your child very much and who are very trustworthy. But by doing so, we are telling our child that what you say does not matter. Because whatever you say, I'm not going to listen to you. And that is dangerous. Because the first rule of empowering a child is to teach him or her to say no and to respect that decision. Why is it important to teach a child about body safety or about touching safety? This is because sexual abuse is real and it's everywhere. It may be closer than we think and we just may be clueless. So it's important that a child knows what an unsafe touch is. Remember, I did not say good touch and bad touch. I'm talking about safe touch and unsafe touch. A touch may feel good to a child, but the child needs to know that even if it feels good, if it is not a safe touch, then it should not be encouraged. Now, what is an unsafe touch? Now, there are certain parts of the body that are covered by a swimsuit. That's what I tell children. Now, in a boy, it is the area between his legs and his buttocks. For a girl, it also includes her chest. Now, there's one area that we often ignore, and that is the mouth. A mouth is also a private part, and no one can touch you on your mouth or ask you to put anything into your mouth without your permission. So, which are the parts of the body that are private? It is your mouth, your chest, between your legs, and your buttocks. These are the 4 areas that nobody should touch you on without your permission. Now, the child may be confused because he or she is very small and is being bathed by his mother or his father. Now, they also need to know that when somebody touches you, if it feels comfortable, if it does not feel wrong, then it's all right. If it is your mother or your father who's touching you or hugging you, then it's all right. If your mother's giving you a bath or your father's cleaning you after your potty, that's all right. If your doctor is checking you in the presence of a parent or a guardian, then that's all right. But no one else is to touch you in your private parts without your permission. Now, do we need to teach children the real names of private parts? Can't we just call them a wee and a poo and some sweet names like that? Well, you can call them that, but the child also needs to know the right name for his or her private parts. Why is that so? Because of the unfortunate circumstance that something happens and the child needs to report to a social worker or to a police personnel about which part of his or her body has been touched. He or she should be able to name it correctly. So just as we teach them heads, shoulders, knees and toes, we should also be teaching them the right name for a penis or a vagina. Now, what does an abuser look like? An abuser looks just like you and me. It could be that friendly neighbor, that colleague who keeps coming to your house because of the lovely tea that you serve. It could be the relative who keeps inviting you home for night parties. It could be anyone. So, how will you recognize an abuser? Anyone who spends an inordinate amount of time with your child should raise a red flag in your mind. Because there is nobody who needs to spend so much time with your child, especially alone. So there are certain things that we need to look out for. An abuser may give your child special treatment. An abuser could be anyone, I said. So it could be a coach who says that you're my favorite, come and stand with me, always puts his hand on the child's shoulders, even when they're standing in a group, making the child feel special. That's just an example I'm giving. An abuser may offer them sweets or treats or take them out on outings. Now, these outings may or may not include other adults, including the parents. Now, the abuser may touch or hug the child very often. The abuser is almost always a very sympathetic listener in the beginning. So if the child says, my mama doesn't allow me to do anything, she never allows me to eat chocolates, the abuser says, I understand. I love chocolates too. Shall we go and get chocolates and not tell mama about it? Let's make it our little secret. Always a sympathetic listener. And children love people who listen to them. Now, an abuser may also offer to help the family financially or just helping in shifting the house, anything. Now, the abuser may also seek opportunities to be alone with your child. Now, this is something you need to be very careful with. You need to be really aware of who is being alone with your child and why. And if there is a way to monitor it, you must. Because unsupervised attention can be dangerous. It may not be, but it can be. The abuser may also gain access through the internet. And this is particularly important in today's scenario because most of the online classes make it very easy for the children to access the internet. Class gets over, nobody is supervising, mama and daddy are busy. We sit and check the internet, unsupervised. And that is where many children get groomed. They get groomed online by abusers. So that is one area that we need to be very careful of, especially in today's time. Now, there are some facts that may be unbelievable to hear, but they're very true. 9 out of 10 children know or they are related to their abuser. Abuse either happens in a child's home or in the abuser's home. Often, an abuser is an adult, but the abuser may also be an adolescent or maybe a child themselves. So, should we not trust anyone? Well, we should. But we also need to be alert because our child's safety is our responsibility. Now, before I tell you how we can prepare our children to be safe, there is something else we need to discuss. Often, parents are the last people to know about the abuse, and the child is often suffocating inside without telling the parent or the guardian about it. Now, why is it that some kids don't tell? There are many reasons why kids don't tell about abuse that has happened to them. But the primary reason that has been found out is that they don't know that what happened to them was wrong. They don't know that when somebody touched them inappropriately, it was wrong. And why don't they know that? Because we haven't educated them and told them that this is wrong. So the first thing you need to do is sit down with your child and communicate that these are your private parts, this is an unsafe touch, and this is what you need to do to prevent it, and this is what you need to do in case it happens to you. That is the first reason why kids don't tell, because they don't know that this, what happened to them, is wrong. The second reason is that they are ashamed to tell anyone. They feel that it is their fault. Therefore, it's very important that a child knows that if someone touches them inappropriately, it is not because it is their fault. It is the fault of the person who has done it to them. That has to be very clearly communicated to the child. The third reason why children don't talk about an abuse is because they have been threatened into secrecy. They have been told that if you tell your mother about this, or if you tell your grandpa about this, I'm going to kill them or I'm going to do bad things to them. And they've been made to feel so scared that they don't want to tell you and put you into danger. This is why we should always communicate to them that there is no need to be afraid of it. If something happens, they just need to come and tell us, and there is no need to be afraid about our safety. We will take care of it. Now, there's one more reason that kids don't tell. It's because, as I said, abusers are often very close to the family. They're known to the family. They may be relatives or friends. And it's very easy for them to tell the child that, what, you're going to tell your mother about this? Your mother is not going to believe you. Who do you think she'll believe, you or me? And the child does not know whether she or he can trust the parent enough, and whether the parent will trust them enough to believe what they say. So it is important that not only in this context, but very often, we sit down with the child and tell the child that I believe you. If you tell me something, I will believe you. That has to be communicated. Now, if the child has not communicated to you about abuse, is there no way to find out? Well, if you're alert, there are certain signs that you can watch out for. These may be physical signs or emotional signs. In terms of physical signs, you need to be alert and you need to question in case you see bruising, bleeding, redness, bumps, or scabs from wounds around the mouth or in the private parts or anywhere around the private parts. There might also be cases of urinary infections, sexually transmitted diseases, or abnormal vaginal or penile discharge. That should be a cause for concern, especially in the case of small children. There could be persistent or recurring pain while urinating or during bowel movements. There could be wetting or soiling incidents unrelated to toilet training, wherein a child who is completely toilet trained and who is beyond the age of having accidents suddenly ends up wetting his bed every day that should be a cause for concern. If a child complains of chronic stomach ache, that should be a cause of concern. Similarly, with headaches, if a child complains of constant headaches, that should also be a cause for concern. If you notice any of these signs, make sure that you take the child to a professional medical doctor and after consultation with the doctor, if need be, contact the police. Now, there are also certain emotional signs that you can look out for. If a child exhibits anxiety or depression, if the child has sleep disturbances and nightmares and night terrors very often, if there are sudden changes in eating habits, when they say that they don't have an appetite for many days, that should raise an alarm. If they show an unusual fear of certain people or certain places, and if they show reluctance to be alone with a certain person, then if they have changes in mood, they have anger, they might show aggressiveness to the parents or to the siblings or even to their friends and pets. They may show rebellion or they may show withdrawal. They'll just stop talking. A child who used to talk very well may just stop talking. And that should be a reason why you should question it. Now, they may also have regression to previously outgrown behaviors. Like I said, they could have bedwetting or even the thumb sucking, which had stopped long ago. The habit may come back because of the stress that they are under. They might show sexual behavior that is inappropriate to their age, or they may show too perfect behavior, or they may be compliant and listen to everything that the parent says and try to be very good so that the parent doesn't get angry and things like that. That should also be a cause for concern. Now, what should you do if your child comes and tells you that he or she has undergone abuse? Now, naturally, it's very upsetting for a parent or for a guardian to hear about abuse, especially for their own child. But it is important that you stay calm. I know it's difficult, but it's important that you stay calm so that the child stays calm. And you should encourage them to tell you more about what happened. So if the child needs to tell you more, you need to first be calm the child down, and then encourage the child to tell you more about the incident. Very important thing. When the child tells you something, tell the child, I believe you, and it is not your fault. What else can you do? You need to reach out to a helpline. Of the helplines that I know of, Childline is a very good organization. Yes, a very overworked organization, but it's an organization that can always be approached. The number for Childline is 1098 1098. Or you can talk to your pediatrician and they will guide you on what to do next. Now, this is about what happens in case there is an abuse. But what is it that we can do to prepare our child to be safe? You can help your child to stay safe. And there are 3 very simple things that they need to learn: recognize, refuse, and report. 3 R's: recognize, refuse, and report. Recognize. Now, there are some early warning signs that a child can look out for to check if he or she is safe. The child should try to remove himself or herself from a situation if they feel any of the following. If they feel like crying when they are in that situation, if they feel that they're getting sweaty, if they feel shaky in their knees, or they feel sick in their tummy, or their heart starts beating fast when something is happening around them or something is happening to them. If they feel any of these signs, they need to recognize that it is an early warning sign that something unsafe is going to happen. I'll repeat that once more. If they feel like crying, or if they feel very sweaty all of a sudden, or if they feel sick in their tummy, or shaky in their knees, or if their heart starts beating very fast, then they need to recognize that they need to remove themselves from that particular situation. It may be a very innocent situation, but if they feel that their intuition tells them that it is unsafe, they need to remove themselves from that situation. That is recognize, the first R. The second R is refuse. Now, if the child recognizes any of those signs, the first thing the child needs to do is say no. The child should understand that my body is my body and I am the one in control. You cannot control it. No one touches my private parts. No one should make me touch their private parts. And it's not okay for someone to touch his or her own private parts in front of me. So the child should understand that it is not okay for anyone to come and touch my private parts. It is not okay for anyone to make me touch their private parts. And it's also not okay for them to touch their private parts in front of me. It is also not okay if someone asks me to take my clothes off or takes pictures or videos of me with my clothes off. That is not okay. It is also not okay to show me pictures or videos of someone else not wearing clothes. Now, other than these, no one should ask me to keep a secret that I cannot tell my trusted adults. Who are the trusted adults? I'll come to that later. Now, a secret is good only if it can be told to somebody very soon. Birthday surprise. It's a surprise, so we have to keep it a secret, but it will be revealed very soon. That is a good secret. A secret where you are told you are never to tell anyone about it, that is not a good secret. So no one should ask me to keep a secret that I cannot tell my trusted adults. No one should give me something or take me somewhere without permission from the trusted adult in charge. So you cannot tell a child, come, let's go, and let's not tell anyone that we are going anywhere. That is not allowed, and the child should know that it's not allowed. It is okay to refuse touches, even from people that you know. So if somebody is coming and saying, oh, my sweet little child, let me hug you, and you don't want to be hugged, it is okay to say, no, I don't want to hug you. You may probably give a high five, or you may blow them a kiss, but you don't want to be hugged, even if it's a person you know, you can tell them that you don't want them to hug you. You also may not want to be tickled even if it is from somebody very close. You may not want it, and that means nobody should do it. Now, what should a child do when refusing? 1. The child should trust his or her intuition. As I said, if the child recognizes any of those early warning signs, then the child should trust those feelings and not brush it aside just because it's a relative or it's a friend. 2. You have to shout, run, and tell. Shout and say no, and say it as loud as you can so that anybody who's standing nearby can hear you. Try to walk away to a safe place or run if it is possible. And if it is not a safe place that you know of, then run to an open space where there are lots of other people around. Third one is tell. So it's shout, run, and tell. Shout loudly and say no. Walk away or run to a safe place or an open space where there are lots of people. And 3, tell an adult. That is what a child should do. So if the child feels threatened or unsafe, they should first they should trust their feelings, and then they should shout, run, and tell. Now that was all about refusing. So we said the first R is recognize the early warning signs. 2, refuse if they feel threatened. And 3, report. Now every child must have some trusted adults who will form a safe circle around the child to protect the child. Now, I have a very simple diagram here that I usually tell the children about. It is a safe circle with me in the center and 5 trusted adults who form the circle protecting me. Now, who should be in the safe circle? The child's parents can be in the circle, the grandparents can be in the circle, an uncle or aunt that the child trusts can be in the circle. Now there's one person who should be from outside the family. It could be a teacher, it could be a coach, it could be a neighbor that the child trusts. So out of the 5 trusted adults, the 5 trusted adults who form the safe circle, at least one child should be from outside the family. And why is that important? Because much as we would like it to be otherwise, sometimes the abuser is from the family. And the child should have someone that they can go and tell in case the abuse happens within the family. Now, how does the child report an incident? The child has to tell the trusted adult about this incident. Any one trusted adult, one or more. Now, what happens if the trusted adult does not listen, or if the adult is busy? He or she should tell the adult again and again till they listen and act. And if you think this particular trusted adult is not doing enough, then you should tell another trusted adult till at least one of those trusted adults come to your help. There is also something else that we need to teach the child. Yes, we need to teach the child to be safe. We need to teach them the 3 R's, that is recognize, refuse, and report. But there is also something else that we need to teach the child. We need to teach them to always ask before touching someone else. What happens to us could happen to someone else. Abuse that comes to us could be abuse that we do to others also. So teach the child to always ask before touching someone else. teach them to listen when someone says no or when someone says stop, even if it's your best friend. If they tell you to stop, then you need to stop. And tell them to never keep secrets about touching. These are three things that you need to definitely tell your children. One, always teach them to ask before touching someone else. Listen when someone says no or stop, and never keep secrets about touching. Now, this was about what we tell the child. As parents, when abuse happens, we feel guilty. We feel that we have not done enough to protect the child. And that is the last thing that I will leave you with. If abuse happens, it is not the child's fault. It is also not your fault as a parent. It is the fault of the person who has done it. After abuse happens, the child is not at fault, but it is your responsibility to ensure that the person who is at fault never comes near your child again. Thank you.